This little piece of metal right here is where a lot of deck builds go wrong. They're either using the wrong size, the wrong kind of gauge of metal, the wrong kind of fastener, or they install it incorrectly. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through all the different options, all the mistakes that deck builders make, how you can avoid them so you can get it done right the first time. So let's just start off by understanding what this is. This is a joist hanger. And the idea is that whenever you have two pieces of wood that meet, that don't have support from underneath to a structural load point, you can add this hanger and attach it to something else that is structural, like a ledger board. And the bottom here is like a saddle. And when you attach this properly, as you walk on it, the weight goes into your joist, transfers over to the hanger, and this holds it in place for a long time. Now this particular joist is made by Simpson Strong Tie, and they have a new coating called Z-Max, and it is really strong and helps to promote a long life in your fastener, so you can plan on this being a 50-year fastener. Here's what I see all the time. Back in the old days, they would nail boards together through the one end and into the other. All they did was use nails. They never had any hangers, no engineered hardware. And so what happens is, over time, the wood would slip off the nails. So when you go into an old house, you go up the stairs, everything's slanted and everything's wonky because nothing had fasteners. That's not acceptable, it's not structural. So what we did is in 1975, we invented a building code and they came up with this. They have a new joist hanger now. And that's great. We can now attach a joist to a ledger board, and this is where we have a problem. So they would come along and they'd say, okay, I'm going to use a screw. I'm going to attach that with a screw. Why not? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screw locations. That's like 500 pounds, give or take, of shear strength. Problem with this is, yes, it's an ACQ screw. It's rated for outdoors. And any scratches that come along here take the coating off and expose that, and it starts to rust out. And when it starts to rust out, it loses its shear strength. So this is a fail. Then they go, well, we'll use the galvanized framing nails. That's a solid nail. Problem is on the other side, they're sticking out almost 2 inches. So while you're building your deck, you're getting yourself sheared off of all these nails, ripping your hands open. And because we have a fastener built by an engineer, and we have a nail designed by that same engineering company, and they were licensed and patented together, they go together. And so building inspectors all over North America will look at your joist hanger, and if they don't see that stamp on the head of that nail, and the materials and the rating of that steel is stronger than a framing nail, and without a stamp, it fails your inspection. So you're going to go through all the hassle of building your deck, putting on your hangers, putting nails in all the holes, and use the wrong nail, and you're still going to fail. Don't do that, okay? So here we go. One nail in every hole. These nails are designed to be exactly 1.5 inches thick. That is exactly the same thickness of the lumber that you're nailing into, so the nails don't stick out on the other side, okay? The same company that engineered that bracket, that engineered the nail, also engineered a screw. This screw also has a stamp on the end, and it is also 1.5 inches thick. It's also a lot faster. And you can attach the entire joist hanger in quick order. The screws, however, cost more money. Now, the difference between the screw and the nail, other than the cost and the speed, is the nail doesn't have any threads. So the screw also resists the pull-out, okay? So if you're ever on a deck and you're all hanging around and laughing and having a good time and you got 20 family on there, and then somebody does something in the yard and goes, oh my God, check out what Sally's doing. She's doing a cartwheel for the first time. Everybody runs to the end of the deck. There's an incredible amount of load moving on that deck away from the wall. Like it just snaps off. I just pulled that right off with my bare hands. And if you don't have the right kind of fasteners, and I think screws are necessary, all of this can tear right out of place and then the deck drops. Okay, so we're gonna go through a couple of bracket options so you don't cheap out and pick the wrong one. This is a traditional joist hanger. Wherever you have access to put fasteners on both sides, you use that. This one is a hidden one. This is the kind of fastener you use right at the edge of your deck, okay, where you don't have a nailing surface. The way you operate here is you can put a nail there, but it takes a lot of dexterity because the hammer is almost 1.5 inches wide as well. But you can just throw screws in. And now the secret is when you're doing your measuring, you measure from the head to the desired location to get your length for your joist, okay? Because that does raise it off almost a 1/4 inch. Over here, this one's for a 45. A lot of people have a house and it'll change direction and the wall will come off on a 45-degree angle, and you want all your joists going the same direction. You can use this to maintain that direction, but take a look over here. That's a hard to reach location with a nail. I hammered this one in, but I couldn't close the gap. And leaving a gap is a problem. That means you don't have as much fastener in there as you want. So if you use the screw, you can actually get in there and pull it nice and tight. That's a proper installation. This is what we call a double. If you're having your joist come out to get past an obstacle and you want to tie it back together again and then have a joist come off the middle of that, you want to go double on both sides, double across the middle, and then a single off the end. You can get a joist hanger that carries 2. So you can put it side by side, 2x8 or 2x10. This is called a hurricane tie. This is when you're going to attach this piece of lumber to something else underneath. In our particular deck, you can see all of our joists are on a beam, and we're going to be putting one of these hurricane ties to connect the joist to the beam, and that helps to protect against lift. This is an over-the-top scenario. Check this out. It actually sits on the top, and honestly, it bothers me because now you're interrupting with the surface. And when you put your deck boards on this, it's going to make it very uneven. This is a good idea to use this kind of hanger. It's not on decking. It's actually when you're installing engineered floor joists. For a floor joist package, this works because then you can cover it all with sheet goods, and I think you can get away with it. On a deck though, I think it's a bad idea. And over here, it's just a simple strap. Again, this is just to connect one level with another level. Like over here, I've got a 6x6 post. Eventually this is going to go up and carry the roof, but I'm going to be using straps like this to connect all of these pieces of wood all the way down to the bottom of my post so that it's all connected together. All of this should be connected one strap to the next strap to the next strap, and that makes sure the whole deck is connected to the helical pile, which has a big disc underground, so nothing can lift it up out of the ground. So now I've told you about the different fasteners and I've told you about the different brackets. I'm going to show the installation technique because you can still have the right bracket and the right fastener and still mess this up. One of the things that people will do, they'll take this and they'll preset their ledger board, and they're basically looking at the bottom where it hangs, okay? And they're trying to set it to the bottom of the ledger, and they want to try to squeeze this together to what they think is 1.5 inches, and they want to hammer in the tab. That's not a perfect science. Now take a look at this bracket here now. That is on an angle. So what's going to happen is they're going to come along with their nails now. Okay, and they're going to do this. And they're going to do the entire thing like that, and then they're going to grab their joist. And they're going to come over here and they're going to shove it in. They'll set it down. And you think, okay, that looks pretty good, right? And here's the issue. That gap means that only one little corner of this is now supporting. So it's going to sag. It's going to end up not carrying all the load. So now only the nails on this side are working, and none of the nails on the other side are carrying any load. That can cause a problem, because if you're supposed to have this engineered, the engineers will say, well, we're looking to carry so many pounds per hanger. There's a hanger every 16 inches. Installing it this way, you just cut all your strength in half, okay? That's a risk. There's another problem, and that is these boards are all a different thickness. This one's 9 1/16. That one's 9 1/16. That one's 9 1/8. That one's 9 1/4. That one's 9 3/16. That was 9 1/8. That one's 9, okay? So just right here over 6 boards, we are up to a 1/4 inch difference in the thickness. So if every one of your brackets is mounted at the same height, the top of all your floor joists are going to be up and down all across the deck. That is a recipe for failure. When you attach your joist to a deck, we're in the business of making sure what's on top of it looks perfect every time. Because if I hang all of these joist hangers just like that, with this height flush on the bottom, I'm going to have deck boards as low as this, and some up here. Some will be flush, and then some will be down here again. It's going to look like garbage, okay? We don't want to do that. Now here's the proper way to install a joist on a joist hanger. We actually want to attach a little 2x4 block with screws on your joist, okay? What we want to do is we want to roll this over, set it in position on that block, okay? Just for good measure, we take an extra screw and we're going to put it and screw it into the ledger board. That's just to keep this safe. Now, and make sure that it's square on the wall, all right? Make a mark just so you can identify if it changes while you're working. Take your joist bracket and you want to push it up snug on the bottom with both thumbs, okay? This is important right here. Make sure there's no gap. I found the best way to do this is to actually squeeze this metal together. And then when you put it on, it'll hold itself in place while you're getting your hands free. We're gonna hold this flush to the ledger and push up on the bottom with my thumb and put the first screw in. Double check, make sure it's still flush on the bottom and put the rest of the screws in. So now we're squared to the building. We're flush underneath, which means it's carrying the complete load. On this side, I'm gonna put in my screw with a slight upward angle, just to help pull it nice and tight. Okay? Add the other screws. Up to this point, we've been using these screws. These are SD connector screw. They're a number 9, 1.5 inch, rated for fasteners, okay? But now, for these other holes, we're gonna be switching over. This is a number 9, 2.5, and even the picture shows you where the location on the joist hanger is. For these screws, you'll notice only the end has a thread, okay? Because what we're trying to do in this case is we're gonna go in on a 45-degree angle here. These screws have been perforated in the metal, creating a perfect gap so that these screws can go in on this angle. And the idea is it'll pass through the joist into the ledger, and all the thread parts are in the board behind. And the purpose of this is that pulling away effect, okay? This is designed to help hold all of this in place long term. Okay? We're putting 2 on each side. All right? All right? We want you guys to be successful and not have accidents, all right? You're putting your friends and family out there. For the love of God, if you're gonna build, use the right hardware, use the right screws, build it right, get a permit, all right? Play safe, build fun, have yourself a great deck, but do it right. All right, last step, guys, is reach over and pull out your block. Just save this one for the next joist. Now, if you got any questions, guys, feel free, jump in the comment section. If you got comments because you live in a zone where you've got unique situations in your building code, jump in, we'd love to hear it. Cheers, till next time.